Well, there must be something that's attracting you as big as the birthday choir.
You know, the Mickey Rowan went up to $14 to $16 a gallon last year.
May I have your attention, please? May I have your attention? Thank you, Andy. You got Andy's attention. We appreciate that. Well, welcome, everybody. And welcome to our Good Democratic Breakfast. Is there anybody here who's here for the first time this morning? Hey! You did not raise your hand. He counts. That's our speaker for the day. Oh, okay. And again, we want to say welcome. Let's start off this morning with singing your Grand Old Flag and then our Pledge of Allegiance. And lo and behold, for those of you who don't know the words, here are the words to your Grand Old Flag. That's helpful. Okay. You're a Grand Old Flag. Give yourselves a hand. Okay. I think we have enough room this morning for us to stand for the pledge. Some mornings are just so proud that they can't do it. But this morning, I think we have room. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For our moment of silence as we begin our meeting this morning, for our moment of silence as we're beginning this morning, I would ask that can you help me get over the wire, please? Back up. All right. For our moment of silence this morning, let's focus on both positive and troubling. Positive, to give thanks that we finally have finished the last undecided election in the United States. And of course, the ongoing troubles around the world and challenges to our democracy at home. So let us take a moment or two for silence. Thank you. Now, let's see. For introductions this morning, we have a couple of people who are currently serving in leadership roles. Let's see, Sean is East Spencer Alderperson. Laura's in Grand Quarry Alderperson. And she's roving around. There she is. And the lady who launders the tablecloths and mops the floor, etc. She's also on the Spencer Town Council. Pat Fletch. And anybody else I'm missing? Okay. And how many of you are running again this fall? Lauren, Sean. Well, so some are on 2-year terms, some are on 4-year terms. So, okay, all of that will come up as time goes on here. A couple of things. You have an announcement sheet in front of you. It says mark your calendar for May and June. A couple of things I'd like to highlight there. If you don't have one, just kind of look around. They're probably on the table around you. Thanks to Andy, they appeared for everyone. Okay. Now, before we get into that, I want to flip it over to the other side. Evelyn Newton-Kahn is one of our resources and real treasure for what she knows about everything. Former professor in New York City. And in 2004, she found a postcard that had this information on the back of it. 2004. It is now 21 years later, and you can take a look at some of the warning signs that we see for what becomes fascism. So take a look at it, but by all means take this sheet home with you, let's go through the announcements. This morning we're here for breakfast. Amen, absolutely, let's eat. And then next Saturday, well, what's going on downtown? Cheerwine Festival, all right. And how many thousand people is that going to bring to town now?
I've heard numbers anywhere from 60 to 100, but I would say tens of thousands.
To tens of thousands, and you're one of the economic development people here. How many businesses downtown actually make money on this?
I don't know the answer to that.
All of them. It's one of the biggest days for any of the businesses downtown during Cheerwine. So that's something. So by all means, keep that on your calendar. Now, on Sunday afternoon, the 18th, I don't see Scott here this morning, but on Sunday afternoon, the 18th, there will be a town hall event for missing congressmen and senators, McDowell, Tillis, and Buck. They've all been invited to the Livingstone Culinary Arts School. That's one of the old Holiday Inns here, so it's on Jake Alexander. Keep your eyes on the details that you'll see on our Facebook and things like that for all the details. There's Sunday afternoon, 1 to 4 at the old Holiday Inn. And there's a nice big lovely ballroom there for that gathering. Senior Democrats, there isn't a specific title for the Senior Democrats yet. Things are happening so rapidly. We'll just have to see what's going on, and we will get that out in email and Facebook. What else do we have it on, Andy?
Email, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and just about any other social platform you can think of.
Okay, good, very good. Or the old-fashioned thing, you have it on a piece of paper in front of you right now. Be here on Tuesday the 20th at 1 time. On Wednesday the 21st, we're going to be having a special event here. And we're having it here because we have this wonderful screen behind us and all these tables. There may be 15 or 20 events like this around the state to lift up our concerns as Democrats for the judicial elections, which will be coming in 2026. So if you'd like to know more about that, please be here by 6:30. The Zoom thing starts at 7, so please come. We are host to a number of whoever sees it on Mobilize and wants to come. So we could have a full house here on Tuesday night. We will need a few people to help direct traffic so that we get them to the parking lot behind Monterey over here. So please see me afterwards if you're willing to help with directing traffic. We're starting a book club, and you can get that book at South Main bookstore downtown. Alyssa told me that she'll have more copies in this next week. Our June breakfast, if you read tomorrow's Salisbury Post, which is online right now, you will see an article by Dr. Jay Nickel, retired law professor at Chapel Hill, and he will be, he regularly has columns in the paper, and he will be our speaker in June. The rest of it, just please keep in mind, Juneteenth is coming, Salisbury Pride is coming. Hang on to this, and if you lose it, you can go to our Facebook page. Is that where it is, Pam?
Actually, if it is, but look on the website.
This is on our website, Rowan County Democrats website. And you'll find this there if you happen to lose this piece of paper. Okay, as I mentioned the blurb on the back here, we have something rather strange. Things just keep happening that are just way out of the ordinary for our country, for the way we operate. I was just made aware this morning that apparently they're trying to put a plane load of Asians on their way to Libya to some kind of detention center, while at the same time a plane load of Afrikaans, white folk from South Africa, are supposed to come here to the United States because they're refugees in South Africa. So keep your eye on the news. Interesting things keep happening. I didn't make that up. I'd heard that from some sources as well as this morning. So that's our announcements there. Now, I think, do we have any other announcements? AAUW, are you up to anything to? No. Nothing to announce. Thank you, Eileen. Now, Sean?
Just want to remind everybody that June 7th is East Spencer's first community event. That's June Fest, and it is from 12 to 7 at Royal Giants Park.
At where?
Royal Giants
Royal
Park.
Giants, thank you.
Okay, and that's Saturday the 7th?
Yes.
Saturday the 7th, Royal Giants Park, and that goes on, what, from noon to 6, something like that?
Uh-huh.
It's a good party, good music, good fun, good time. East Spencer. Yes, go ahead.
Do we have the date and the location of the summer picnic?
Not yet, no.
Not yet, okay. It's always the second Saturday though in August.
It'll be the second Saturday in August, and it will be, a noon to 1 o'clock kind of gathering. It will not be a breakfast in August. June and July, yes. August, no. Any other announcements? Oh, okay. One of the things that we have been doing in the years when we have the municipal elections and we don't have 45 different candidates coming in to speak, we try to get updated on things like housing and healthcare in here in Rowan County. So we know what we're talking about as we say these are issues that we need to relate to and try to promote people who are addressing those kind of needs. And today the day is economic development. Anytime you can bring more money, Scott, come back, we'll give you another hand. Okay. Rod Greiner, who's the head of the Economic Development Council here, was supposed to be here. He got called out, so we get the second in command, Scott Shelton. But he too has a string of accolades, certificates, and all that kind of stuff. He knows what he's talking about. So we have the screen to help. If you happen to be seated with your back toward where I'm standing, please turn your chairs. Now it's time to turn your chairs. If you're too far in the corner, you may want to swing around to a seat over there and start showing stuff on the screen. Sharon, can you see the screen from where you're at? Okay, fine. Just so we're all together on that. So without going on into any further kind of stuff, Scott, you're on. Tell us all about the good things that are doing and the dreams of how to make things better.
I can't promise anything, but also, it's not over here where I can advance the screen. And thanks for having me. As Jeffrey said, Rob Trotter, our president and CEO, is normally the one who handles these sorts of things, but he's actually in Tennessee right now playing the role of a good grandfather. His 10-year-old grandson asked him to come and watch him play basketball, so of course that's priorities, right? So I'll do the best I can. And again, I'm Scott Shelton. I'm the vice president of the Rowan EDC. And I've been with the organization since 2009, going on 16 years now. And been a lot of changes over the years, but everything seems to be, I think, trending in the right direction for our county. Our organization was founded in 1984. We're a 501c3 nonprofit. And originally, pretty much all of our funding came from the local towns and the county governments. They would give a portion of their tax base to our efforts. But beginning around 2019, we tried to move toward a public-private partnership, get the participation of the business sector in our organization. And with that, in 2019, we started laying the groundwork for our first ever private sector fundraising campaign to try to decrease the reliance on tax dollars for what we do. And with that, at the same time, we laid out a 5-year plan, a 5-year fundraising campaign, but also goals for those 5 years to try to show a positive impact on the economy. So I thought what I would do is just kind of, since that campaign ended at the end of 2024, I'd like to spend a few minutes talking about what we accomplished and what the goals are for the new fundraising campaign, as well as give you an idea of the overall state of the economy in Rowan County. So our first strategy is always targeted quality growth. Basically, we're trying to grow the tax base of Rowan County. We're trying to bring jobs, new investment in our county, raise the quality of life for everyone here. And typically, this is the goals you see in the papers. It's bringing companies here, companies expanding, things like that, and also just trying to maintain a business-friendly environment and reputation. And I will say that wasn't always the case in Rowan County, but it's come a long way in 10 years. Trust me, I hear it from a lot of companies. So at the end of 2024, these were our main goals: new jobs, capital investment, and also average wage. And the goals you see there, those were set in late 2019, early 2020. Go over there to the right for average wage, you see $16.06. Now, of course, please keep in mind that was 2019, that was pre-COVID, that was pre-inflation. At the time, that wage was set by what they call the MIT Living Wage Calculator, which at that time was supposed to be the living wage for 2 working adults and 2 kids. Obviously, things have changed a lot since then, but we want to be consistent, and that was what the goal was at the time. But for 2024 as a whole, I think you may have seen in the news, things slowed down quite a bit because of the election, interest rates. A lot of companies are taking wait-and-see approaches on what they were going to do. But all in all, it was still a pretty good year. We created about 276 new jobs, about $41 million in new investment. And the average wage of those new jobs was about $24.38. And according to the Department of Commerce and their Economic Analyst Division, the average salary for Rowan County was $52,101 for 2024. So this was right there in that ballpark. And so I mentioned those jobs that were created in 2024, or at least announced in 2024. The big one was AMREP. You may have seen them on Julian Road, I guess going toward the fairgrounds there on the right. They make like the chassis for garbage trucks. They're a California-based company that came out here several years ago, and this was an expansion. They're doing a second building behind their existing facility on Julian Road, adding about 170 jobs, a lot of welding, a lot of skilled trades, things we want to see here in Rowan County, and investing about $21 million. The second company there to your right, Everhome Plastics, they are a company that's making, I guess, the plastic injection molds that make storage crates or like the storage baskets you see at the Container Store or at Walmart, things like that. But they are setting up shop in the old Celanese or Durafibers plant on Highway 70 that employed thousands of people over the years in Rowan County. It's a small project, but every little bit counts. And the last one that hasn't been announced that much is Westlake Rural Building Products. They're over in East Spencer. This is the first one we hope will be a two-phase project, and they added 10 jobs and about $10 million of investment in new equipment. So that's where we got that number for the year. And then I mentioned that 5-year campaign. Sorry, advance. These were some of the big wins during that 5-year campaign. I'm sure you've heard about Macy's. That was the bulk of it. That was 1,300 jobs and over $640 million in new investment. I don't know if you've driven by that facility on the interstate, but it's massive. It's 1.4 million square feet on the bottom. There's a 700,000 square foot mezzanine. If anybody's seen the Chewy facility there at Long Ferry Road, that's 700,000 square feet. So this building has pretty much a Chewy stacked on top of it. It's incredible. I haven't been in there since they've added the equipment, at least on the floor itself. But when they poured the concrete, and I was there walking, the people in the distance were like ants. I mean, it's massive. But about 1/3 of Macy's digital volume is going to go through that facility in China Grove. And so far, we'll say they've been a first-class company as far as community engagement. I mean, right now they've just hired their upper management, and the lady run the facility. His name's Lisa Stone, very impressive person. I guess she started with Macy's, went to a couple other companies. Now she's back to run that facility, and they've already done. I'm not sure what it was exactly, but they've done some community involvement at the Salisbury Y. They had a day where they cleaned up the ball field in China Grove, a couple other things as well. So they're one of the companies that really practices what they preach as far as community involvement and can give it back to the community. I mentioned the AMREP project, Chick-fil-A Supply. That was announced, I guess, about 1.5 years ago. You may have seen their facility, but their facility is at the location of the old Intimidator Stadium there at Lane Street and 85 in Canapolis. Haven't been in there yet, but hoping to get in there soon and see what they've got going on. Hexagon Agility, that was an expansion. They make conversion kits to allow tractor trailers to run on natural gas. Real exciting technology. But they're in the Summit Corporate Park there on Julian Road. Another California-based company that relocated both of their operations here to Rowan County. Eastern Fence is another company that set up shop in the old Celanese plant, and they make vinyl fencing. They came down here from Long Island, New York. DHL Supply Chain, of course everybody's seen DHL trucks, but they're there at the new facilities on Peeler Road, which are now in the city limits of Salisbury. But that one facility there is their sole customer is Eli Lilly. I guess they're going to be manufacturing a lot of these weight loss drugs in Concord and also Cary. And this facility has those raw materials that they go to different facilities. Then Tajin, that company has had a lot of names, or that facility has had a lot of names over the years. It was Continental Structural Plastics, it was Magna, it was Meridian. It's on Highway 70 going out toward Cleveland. It's auto components manufacturer. And the last substantial one was General RV. I'm sure you've seen that massive RV dealership on the highway. That was some county-owned land that sat there for years, and we couldn't get anybody interested in it. But as developments come our way, actually General RV got into a bidding war with the developer over that property. So the county was able to sell it to General RV for well above its listed value. And normally we don't get involved with that type of industry, but because they actually were trying to buy county-owned property, we kind of got involved there with it. And again, you see the numbers of jobs and the investment, not just with that, but I think the average pay for this job is like $65,000. And not to mention the sales tax revenue. The county wouldn't give you sales tax revenue on the RVs themselves. That all goes to Raleigh, but for service, parts, things like that, you'll see a benefit there to the community for that. But when we went to the county about this, the question that was asked to us is why do we sell to them versus a developer who could put in a spec building, maybe bring a manufacturer? And that's a valid question, but our logic at the time was if we had a manufacturer come to Rowan County and said they're going to create 150 jobs and invest $25 million, we'd be doing backflips. So how is this any different? So the deal was done, and they're up, and it's a massive investment. My understanding is they're the nation's largest family-owned RV dealership chain in the country. They're based out of, I guess it's either Michigan or Utah, I forget which. I know they have a strong presence in both. But all that led to about 2,800 new jobs and over $1 billion in new investment in Rowan County over 5 years. No, again, I know you hear about the Macy's and the Chick-fil-A's of the world, but we consider our primary goal is to help our existing companies in Rowan County. Because more often than not, that's going to be your primary driver of economic growth. You want to reward the folks that are already here and investing. And we actually have a young lady on our staff whose sole job is to go out to our existing companies, check in with them from time to time, and just see, what are your needs? How can we help you grow? How can we help you succeed? And so you visited 60 companies last year. That's more than 1 week. And so I think it's a pretty strong indication of our commitment to expanding Rowan County's existing businesses. And last year, about half of our project activity was with existing businesses. Some years it's actually more than that. Usually it's the majority of our expansions and announcements. And we don't just go out there and talk to folks. We actually have programs as well. There's our Rowan County Manufacturing Network, where we have quarterly meetings with our area manufacturers to come together and discuss their needs and goals and things to help each other out. We also try to, in partnership with the Charlotte Regional Business Alliance, come up with a wage survey, because companies are always trying to figure out how can they stay competitive, and that usually boils down to paying a competitive wage. So they see what their competitors are paying, and usually helps raise the level of pay in Rowan County. And also in October, there's always a National Manufacturing Day. We make it a full week. We have a series of events, including like tours. We get high school kids going out to see if manufacturing can be a good career for them coming out of school. And also manufacturing luncheon things. Thank our investors for what they do for the community. And I know an issue that can be controversial at times is incentives. You just read that in the paper, and it draws strong opinions on both sides. I will say with the incentives in Rowan County, they're all performance based. I'm sure a lot of y'all know how it works, but for those of you who don't, I'll explain it. When a company comes to Rowan County or they expand in Rowan County, actually they add to the tax base, they pay more taxes. This is a performance-based thing. Like for whatever new taxes they bring to the county, they pay it, they get a portion of it back as a grant. They have to pay it first, they get it back, and usually it's a set of predetermined percentage. And also too, there's job creation goals. Let's say you have to create 100 jobs. If you only create 90, then the grant's reduced by 10%. But again, you have to pay first to play. And also, at the time when we were really doing a lot of incentives, Rowan County was trying to attract growth. We weren't quite where Charlotte is or Concord is right now. But now you see all the development going on, and with that in mind, both City of Salisbury and county leaders said, let's dial it back some. We think we're in a good shape now where we don't have to give so much away to get growth here. So in the past year and a half, both the city and county have dramatically changed their incentive policies. Right now, I think the maximum amount for either the city or the county is about half of what it used to be. Again, it's still performance-based. And also, too, it used to be strictly based on the amount of new investment. But now both have a scoring system where you get points for creating new jobs, where the average wage of those new jobs, you provide health insurance for your employees, things like that. So it all kind of gives you the bigger picture of the impact of that project. So, so far, results have been positive. I haven't seen the project yet say, that's not enough money, we're going to go somewhere else. Right now, really what's driving a lot of interest anywhere is workforce and also power. Power capacity is a really big thing right now. So incentives have really dropped as far as a priority for most companies. But I think that'll lend itself to fewer incentives going forward. And also, strategy 2 of our Forward Rolling campaign is talent attraction and development. I mentioned workforce, workers. That's again driving a lot of companies' decisions right now. Can they find the workers they need to fill those jobs? And coming out of COVID, there's a lot of openings. There still are some, not to where it used to be, but we're trying to make sure we have the skill set for our workers to make us attractive to companies. And a lot of that is working in close partnership with the school system, with Rowan Community College, with the Department of Commerce. We try to align our efforts to where we have that pool of workers for these companies. We make it a strong priority to promote career and technical education. Also promote innovation through the school systems. I'm sure most of you are aware of this, but Salisbury Salisbury Schools, is the only district in the whole state that is a renewal district, which basically gives it charter-like school flexibility to design its curriculum and its calendar. And I think that has gotten a lot of positive feedback from companies. But another mission too is to try to retain the college graduates that come out of Catawba, out of Livingstone, Rowan Community College. And with that, we're trying some different things. Like, for example, I mentioned Macy's. Macy's is working closely with Livingstone College right now. I'm not sure the exact title of the program, but just trying to ensure some of those kids coming out of that school can maybe get into the management training program, basically with Macy's. And I think they've already picked, again, this is just getting started. They've already got one kid that's already been, I guess, identified, and there'll be more here in the future. But again, workforce is so important to what we do right now. I mean, without the skilled workers, companies look elsewhere. So we're also in a good position because of our central location. I mean, we can draw from Charlotte, we can draw from Greensboro, we actually draw from the Statesville area. You do a 45-minute circle around central Rowan County. According to the latest stats we have, there's a 1.4 million person labor pool. Those are really strong numbers, probably the strongest in the southeast outside of Atlanta. And it really makes it attractive. And so I think even with things kind of dicey right now with the economy as far as interest rates and tariffs and things like that, as long as we have the workers and we still have the product, we're still going to get looks from these companies. And also, we're also trying to, as part of that whole workforce solution, we're trying to attract talent here to Rowan County. We have a young lady in our office that handles our marketing. Her name is Molly Ruth. You may know Molly. But some of the things she's done, we've launched a new and improved Work in Rowan job portal that pulls all the job listings in Rowan County into one location for people to search, as long as the employers participate. And I think we have over 100 employers in Rowan County putting their jobs on that database right now. We also help maintain the Choose Rowan website, which is a talent attraction website. And another interesting program we've launched is a concierge service. Molly handles that as well. So let's just say Macy's, for example, is trying to bring somebody here from out of state, like a high-end management type, or just any kind of really skilled type. Like we've done this before with Innospec and Spencer. They've brought in chemical engineers. But we try to sell them on the community. And what Molly will do is she'll talk with this person either one-on-one or in person or over the phone. We try to sell them on the community as a whole, the schools, the parks, the quality of life, trying to connect them with social groups, with churches, just whatever their interest is. And not just for them, but the spouse as well. And I think it's made a difference, at least as far as Innospec is concerned. They've had a couple of employees that were on the fence about coming here, but saw the quality of life and decided to come to Rowan County and been very pleased so far with it. Another thing we're doing too is, well, it's Rod, it's not myself, but Rod, along with some of the county leaders, also meet like once, I guess, every month or every 2 months with it's our K through 12 superintendent, Dr. Withers, the heads of Livingstone and Catawba College, Rowan Community College, just to make sure that the curriculums are aligning with what employers need. We had an example of a company in downtown Salisbury that had some really skilled jobs, and they had told us at one point that they can find entry-level people in Rowan County with the skill set they have to pull all over the country to get them here. And so one day there was a meeting held at this facility with the leaders from Catawba and Livingstone, just saying, hey, your graduates, I mean, honestly, we can't really hire them for these jobs because they're more technical oriented. So you may see somewhat of a shift in some of that curriculum to try to align with that to fill some of these jobs that these people need through local talent, and also maybe another way to get that local talent to stay here and not do somewhere else after graduation.
Excuse me,
Yes.
before you leave to go to that, may I ask you a question about the education piece?
Sure.
Specifically the RVs, the last one you mentioned.
The general RV center.
Close to Coon School. And you were talking about how they are interacting with the educational piece, but could you talk a little more about when you're recruiting the businesses to come in, how committed are they to enhance the education system? I also heard you say that Rowan County is the only renewal school in the state. I'm not impressed with that at all, but that's a personal thing. But I would just like for you to expand a little more relative to how these companies are invested into the educational system.
Well, it really just depends on their corporate philosophy. I mean, we haven't really had any type of set requirements for them. So it's a company culture thing. I'm not going to name names. We've had some companies that have said they're going to do a lot, and they're going to do anything. Let's just be honest. Some do, some follow through. But I think really, as far as commitment to the local educational system, it's really going to be a case of if the jobs that they have a need for, need particular skill set or high training. If it's just entry level stuff, then they can relocate anywhere. But if they need a certain skill set and they're struggling, then you'll see more of a commitment to invest and work with the local schools to make sure that the curriculum aligns. And again, we try mainly to support manufacturing. That's just really thinking most bang for our buck. And I think that the companies have been expressive of what they need, and the schools have listened. And for example, several schools now have manufacturing or technical academies. And to me, what's positive about that is that these schools have a waiting list for kids to get in. I know Salisbury High is a manufacturing academy that's been very much lauded. And kids, I think a lot of kids want to do the 4-year liberal arts thing and come up with a bunch of student loan debt, and they see there's an opportunity there for well-paying jobs out of the school system. So it's going to be a team effort, but it really just depends on the company and their needs. But the ones that really have that need have been, I think, for the most part, pretty well involved.
Just to follow in on that, talking about companies saying we need people trained in these areas to supply us. Are they doing anything proactively? Are they providing any scholarships? Are they providing equipment to the schools? Anything like that? That means they've got some skin in it.
Well, I do know there are some schools that have donated equipment. I can't give those names, but I have heard that more anecdotally. But some have been committed to doing that. But the thing they have to realize too is there's no, if they invest, there's no guarantee they're going to get that kit because there's several other companies out there. So, I think the skin of the game is, I won't say that's really been done on a large scale, but I think that for us, what we try to rely on is the fact that when these kids get out, they're skilled, they're going to be in demand, and to be in demand, you're going to get higher wages for your job, for your particular position. So, as far as the, curriculum itself, I think that if they had a highly specified need, some would donate equipment there. But I think in general terms, what they're looking to see is more of a kid that's comfortable in a manufacturing environment or distribution environment. So with that, I think that there's been some alignment with Rowan Community College. Some companies there donated equipment. Some let the schools come out there and let kids train on their equipment. So there's some interaction there, but it's probably not to the level I think all of us would like to see. Any other questions? And also, I wanted to take some time just to talk about how Rowan County is growing. You see, back in 2010, we had about 138,000 people. Now we're about 153,000. And, the growth rate's 3.3%. It's a little bit behind the states, which is 3.8. What I thought was interesting is that the vast majority of our new growth has occurred since 2020. I think that's just an indication of how there's more opportunity here than there was a few years ago. It grew slowly, and now it's picked up quite a bit. But the Charlotte region is one of the fastest growing in the country. There's 117 new residents each day moving to Charlotte. And right now, we're seeing about 4 or 5 of those new people moving every day to Rowan County. I'd like to see more, but that's probably going to come with more opportunity there. Our third strategy is just to make sure we have competitive sites and buildings. I mentioned I guess uncertainty right now in the economy with interest rates and terrorists. But again, as long as we have the workforce, as long as we have the product, we're going to be competitive for projects. And we work closely with the development community over the last couple of years to ensure that. There's been a lot of new investment in Rowan County. Some of it's slowed down again because of those interest rates. But I think there was a stat we had, I think in the last 3 years, there's been about 2,000 acres in Rowan County, mainly along 85, that's either been bought or under contract or working in conjunction with the development or spec building. A lot of that was coming out of COVID. There was talk of these millions worth of buildings to suit Amazon and things like that, but that's really dialed down. It's not really seeing that kind of need anymore. But again, we do need product, and there are some buildings out there now that ensure we can get business from companies or companies considering expanding their existing facility in Rowan County. But we're always just trying to make sure we have what we need, and it can be buildings, but also can be utilities as well. I mentioned power is a big driver for this, and I think, of course, water and sewer as well. But there's most of the growth has been south end of the county, mainly Kannapolis, Landis, China Grove, but there's buildings going up pretty much all over Rowan County now that there's a development. Sorry, yes, sir.
Along the lines that you are currently addressing, we have some huge unoccupied buildings. The old plant down on 29, that was Cannon. The giant facility off of 29 near Rowan Mill Road. Cone. What is the economic outcome for those giant occupied areas that sit empty?
Well, it's honestly, sir, it's kind of dicey. And what I mean by that is some of those things were built in another time.
Understand.
Like the Cone Mills plant, basically, I think one of the issues that a lot of those have, quite frankly, is ceiling height. These buildings nowadays that companies want, they want high ceilings for high storage racks. They want, modernization as far as, power supply, all that sort of stuff. Now, the building you're talking about on Highway 20, there on the right, that I guess was Cannon, it was American Century Homes for a while. That building's pretty tall, but it's kind of unique in a way. It's, I think total height's about 40 feet, but it's 2 stories. So with the equipment and everything, they're more like 18-foot ceilings, so it makes it a little difficult to market those. But we came very close a couple years ago for that one to actually landing a California-based mushroom growing company. They did like shiitake mushrooms, like the high-end gourmet stuff. They actually bought that building, I think, sight unseen, out of auction. But the building had sat empty for years and years, and every bit of like valuables had been stripped out of it. Every bit of wiring, every bit of iron was gone. They bought the thing, put a new roof on it, new parking lot, put some stuff in there, and for whatever reason their project didn't happen, and now it's back on the market again. But I think for buildings like that and for Cone, I think the best use for them likely is going to be more of maybe a light assembly operation, but there's not any real heavy manufacturing going on. There's just pieces there that they assemble in one spot. But I won't try to sugarcoat it. It's going to be tougher for that just because of the nature of the amenities for the buildings themselves. And then you have communities like that had furniture factories, a lot of those low ceilings as well, older buildings. It's just tough to redo those without a substantial investment in them, reinvestment in them. Rather. But we're still trying, and sometimes they can be a good spot for a startup company. If an investor will buy it and maybe subdivide it, then that can be an option for somebody that would look for a lower rent just to start out with. But the big ones at low ceilings, it's tough. It really is.
What about office space as opposed to manufacturing?
Yeah, that's a possibility, but for the larger ones, that would be kind of tough. And we do try to attract office positions, but quite frankly, most of that stuff wants to go to Charlotte. But I think it's getting, and maybe if it's Rowan County, it's probably Kannapolis, again, closer to Charlotte. But that's certainly a possibility. Also, I think a possibility is maybe trying to repurpose that into housing. That's not really something we do, but I think that's probably an attractive option. Because you go to places like Raleigh or Durham, you see old factories, tobacco plants, and made into apartments, and especially affordable housing. So again, not what we do, but I think that could be a good option for that type of building. But I mentioned the buildings. Also mentioned your sites as well, and just to kind of put a disclaimer on this to start with, we really see the value of maintaining what we have in Rowan County. By that I mean farmland, I mean green space. We're not out here trying to bulldoze everything. We kind of think there's a place for growth, and there's a place where growth shouldn't happen, and we primarily focus along I-85. We think also, too, to a certain degree, Highway 70 is going to be probably the next growth corridor for Rowan County. But we very much support the land trust and organizations like that. We want to see farmland preserved, but we are looking for sites. I mean, we just need that. And We try to be proactive and identify sites ahead of time that could maybe spit for an industrial project down the road. And we work closely with Duke Energy. They have a wonderful program called the Site Readiness Program. We've had more than a dozen sites that Duke has tipped into this program over the years, and that's by far the most in their service territory. And really what they do is they'll look at a site with some industrial potential. They'll survey the utilities. They'll pay at their cost to have architectural drawings, like what could be put on this property, accounting for your streams or trees or topography or whatever. But it gives a company an idea of what a property could be, or if a property owner wonders what they could market their property for, it's a good way to show them the potential there. We also met with North Carolina Railroad officials. They have opportunities as well for programs to help spur growth along the rail corridor. And as part of our mission, we try to help out our smaller towns. So we have some money in our budget every year for, I guess, site due diligence. So last year we funded environmental reports for potential industrial sites in Cleveland, Spencer, and Salisbury. We try to spread it around each year, but those are the ones that did this past year. And I mentioned developer interest. This is what's going on right now. As you can see, pretty much every exit except industry has some degree of developer interest. Some is just tire kicking, some's actually stuff under construction. There's a lot potentially on Long Prairie Road affecting Spencer and East Spencer. There's almost a handful of developers looking to do things out there. Some of them are nationally known companies, and it's really just preliminary planning right now, but you can see quite a bit of difference going on out there in a few years. I'm sure you probably saw in the news, I guess it's been about 3 years ago, that proposed development on Long Prairie Road just past Chewy. I'm not sure if that's going to happen or not. They've been holding the property under contract for 3 years. But that one's shown to be pretty impactful if it does happen. But there's a couple of buildings newly completed on Andrew Street in East Spencer. They're really happy with that. We already have one company that's going to be located in there. It's a small deal. It's a manufacturing operation. It's going to hire about 30 people. Haven't announced that one yet because they're going to be relocating from out of Rowan County, and they're, I guess, trying to take care of business there before they come. But we're excited for East Spencer and the potential there for that. And then besides that, you may have seen where DHL is on Peeler Road. There's another building next to it that is empty. That's I guess got a couple of serious prospects looking at that as well. And then also down at Old Bailey Ford Road, overlook 85 there on the left going towards Charlotte. There's a 700,000 square foot building there that we came really close last fall to landing one of the biggest projects in Rowan County's history, but it just didn't work out. I'll tell you, it was a company of drone manufacturers, a company that ultimately chose Ohio. The reason why they chose Ohio is a couple of reasons. One is they wanted to property near a runway to do testing. And also, too, quite frankly, Ohio throws a lot of money at these projects. They offer them a 30-year incentive, which they're not going to do. So it happens, but oh well. But they were going to hire thousands of people, like 4,000 plus people, high-paying jobs, and invest over $1 billion. But it didn't happen, but we've got some other good things going on out there. And there's 3 buildings under construction at Landis Ridge there on the other side of Old Bailey Ford Road right now as well. And finally, at Lane Street, Lakeshore Corporate Park, where the old ball field was, 2 of those buildings are leased now. One's to Chick-fil-A, one's to another company called Rebel Store. It's a 3rd building there, about 300,000 square feet available. We're going to try and get a tenant in that one too. And then the 4th strategy is placemaking and livability. Not really things we directly impact, but we understand the importance of trying to establish a brand identity for Rowan County and promote all the quality of life and amenities we have here. So we work closely with our partners to try to ensure there's a positive reputation and image of Rowan County. And again, you guys know that wasn't always the case years ago, but through social media and some other things, it's really kind of turned the corner. But also trying to promote things we offer, such as cultural amenities and recreation, but also promote housing options and improve transportation assets, because these are things that companies look for. But as I mentioned earlier, we're a firm believer in organized growth, and we want to sustain our natural environment and agricultural assets of Rowan County. And then also we want to keep getting the word out about Rowan County. So some of these logos you see on the right, these are trade publications for the most part in the economic development world. Quite a bit of coverage in those, quite a bit of ads in those as well. Then on the local front, we're doing a really strong social media campaign. We have a bi-weekly EDC newsletter. I've also produced some new videos and video news magazines. One's called Forward Focus. It's a 2-minute thing where we interview a local company, talk about the good things from Rowan County. And also there's a podcast as well. I don't handle that because I've got a face for radio and a voice for texting, so I'll let more professional people handle that than me. So anyway, but yeah, all good stuff though. But I want to get into, I know this is probably something that you guys really want to focus on, but as far as how we're getting to where we want to be as a community, and this was a stat that Rob put up for poverty reduction and the progress there. As you see, in 2023, the poverty rate was 15.8%, compared to 12.8% for the state as a whole, and 12% for the U.S., so obviously higher than the state national average. But it is down. It's down from 19% in 2014. And I think, there's a lot of reasons for why it was so high. I think, that big Cannon Mills closure, 20 plus years ago was hugely impactful in a negative way. That takes into the Great Recession. And also, too, I think that the county itself and the area itself transitioning from an economy focused on textiles and furniture more toward advanced manufacturing and logistics. But I think we are making progress there. And another stat I'll show you regarding that as well, and that's per capita income. It's risen, but it's still below the state level. It's risen 23.8%. But the average wage in Rowan County is expected to be just under $54,000 in 2025. Again, that's below the state as a whole, but it's also the 5th highest in the Charlotte region. If it goes to what we think it's going to be in that 54,000, we'd just be behind like Mecklenburg and Union County and Catawba and Iredell County. But besides that, the other 16 counties in the Charlotte region were the 5th highest there. I think too, one thing to keep in mind is, again, some of these numbers have a variety of reasons for being the way they are. But if you look at per capita income, the $39,000 in 2019, I know that obviously inflation has changed things quite a bit. But if you take that number and use the consumer price index and adjust it for 2023 dollars, you see the average wage in 2023, the per capita income in 2023 was $49. You take that, put it in 2023 dollars, it comes to $46,694. So even with inflation, wages have trended upward. If you count that into consideration. And I guess that's maybe a 4% increase. So, and then median household income as well has went up, from 52,000 to in 2019 to 65,000 in 2023. And like the other one, if you adjust that for inflation, we're still trending toward the positive. We took 2019 numbers to put those in 2023 dollars. It comes to $62,132. So again, that's a nice healthy increase of about 5% since then. And again, these numbers are coming from the MIT living wage calculator, and that living wage again is 2 working adults and 2 children. And just to get close to wrapping it up here, I think something to keep in mind too that we think is a strong plus for Rowan County is our cost of living. Rowan EDC and Catawba College partnered to conduct a quarterly cost of living ceremony, and overall the cost of living in Rowan County is almost 10% lower than the national average. Housing especially is lower. It's 22% below the national average as far as cost. So with these companies, we try to demonstrate that your money can go further here in Rowan County. And again, those numbers are updated every quarter. They've been pretty consistent for close to 2 years now. But I know I've thrown a lot at you, and obviously we have a lot more work to do. But as far as our 5-year fundraising campaign, we see there are challenges to our growth. One, we need to make sure we have the infrastructure needed to attract businesses and have businesses expand here. We need water, sewer, roads, school, electrical capacity. It's all one big package we need to continue working on. Also maintain a business-friendly climate for permitting and planning, because believe me, these companies and these consultants do talk. They do know the areas that aren't as business-friendly. But also housing is a key issue as well. We hear that from companies, we hear that from communities, these jobs, these people coming here, where they're going to live. And, there's no, magic bullet for that, but, I think that there's a lot of stuff in the pipeline right now with the city of Salisbury and Rowan County, so I'm hoping we can get to where we need to be to address, some of those needs. But also, when I mentioned Kendall earlier, the lady that goes out to our existing companies, one thing she hears from companies that what are some issues that they have to tackle, and stealing with childcare, having employees out because their kid's sick, they can't take them to daycare or the school holiday or what have you. And again, that's another multi-tiered problem. But I know Rod was part of a meeting recently where I don't have the exact number, but I think he said there was right now about 200 open spots in daycares through Rowan County, which is surprising considering coming out of COVID. A lot of those I assume had shut down. But there were 200 openings, but the key was there was 300 families waiting for some form of government assistance to help make that stuff affordable, because how expensive this stuff is. So, but even if those get processed, there's going to be a gap in finding workers for daycares, because again, it's hard to attract them, pay is low. So, with that said, we have heard some companies talking about trying to put out, how do we call it, stipends for their employees to go toward childcare. That's being talked about. I don't know of any company that's doing it. We've heard multiple companies talk about it. But also, too, it's my understanding there's a bill in Raleigh right now to work with the community college system to have an accelerated child care certification program where someone can go there and go through probably a 4 to 8 week class to become a certified child care worker and help kind of fill those needs for these child care companies themselves. And right now, I think there's a pilot program going on with it in both Johnston and I want to say Wayne County, and they've had some good luck with that. So we may see that become more of a state issue or state program soon. The other thing the companies talk about is transportation. They've got people that can work, but just can't get there. And obviously, if they're outside of Salisbury, it makes it a lot tougher because there's no real transportation network besides some stops in East Spencer and Spencer. So again, we've had meetings about that, and I think that one thing companies are thinking about doing is there's a program through Enterprise Car Rental. And basically, what it is a discounted rate on renting vans. Companies to pull their resources together for themselves to find workers and bus them there. And I know the city of Salisbury is doing some experimenting with some point-to-point or door-to-door transportation outside of the normal bus route. But we are trying to address those issues because they affect everybody. Again, no magic solution for that, just a lot of research and teamwork. But anyway, I know I've taken up a lot of your time, but again, just want to say to everybody here, all of our towns, all the citizens, we really appreciate your support of the Rowan EDC. We're trying to build a better community, and it's all teamwork, and we can't do it without you guys. And anyway, that's what I have. Happy to answer your questions.
Two things really. What's the impact of immigration policy on the local industry like national and construction, and for the distribution centers, the tariffs? How do you have Macy's, but if the cost of the products goes through the roof, it'll be less shipping. So what's the impact that you see on those things?
Well, as far as tariffs, I mean, there's going to be a lot of impacts to it. We really don't know the full impact of it. Obviously, there's some negative impact to it as the cost of goods go up. But we've talked to a lot of people, consultants, companies like that, and I think the immediate impact is, as far as what we do, is you're seeing a pulling back of companies making decisions on whether to come here or not. I don't think, obviously, Macy's, they've already invested, they're already here. But so as far as the impact, it's going to be their financial bottom line right now, but they're taking a wait and see approach as well. But as far as the impact of immigration, my understanding is Patterson Farms does a pretty good job with just trying to make sure all their workers are in order and not really at risk of deportation. But I think just the uncertainty of it right now could be enough to scare off potential workers for them. I wish I had a stat for you. I don't have one, but obviously there's going to be some impact there, and it's going to be a wait and see approach.
As we bring these industries in, how are you going to deal with solar power as part of being able to mix energy? I mean, at one time, the guy down in Gold Hill wanted to build a plant, and the county put a moratorium on them, and they severely limited the size of them. What do you see as Salisbury going forward, Salisbury, Rowan County going forward, to to, increase the amount of acreage available for solar power, clean energy?
Well, for the county as a whole, I'm not really sure what their long-term plan is. I know they restricted solar to certain areas of the county, I suppose what it was before. But I do know the city of Salisbury is really big into sustainable development. And, I mentioned earlier, how the city had changed its incentive policy a couple of years, or about a couple of months ago, rather, of the scoring system. One of the things they look at in determining incentives is sustainability. Do they have green leaf design in their buildings? Do they have solar panels? They have like low usage, utilities. And with that in mind, the more the company invests in that, conceivably the more of an incentive they can get from the city of Salisbury. So they are trying to recognize that and trying to reward it. Allison.
Related that, followed up on that. Looking at the limiting factors of development, utilities and power and all those things, big picture level, how is the county fixed for those limitations? I mean, is it an issue of we will have to deal with utility issues, sewer issues and all that if we get you in, or do we have now an infrastructure in the county? And my ignorance, I don't have any idea how this all works with water, sewer, and everything like that. It seems like it's clear that the development corridors are a handful of main corridors. I've obviously got, been branching each side of that at a couple of different places in the county. But a large part of the county doesn't seem to have preparations for development. So when it comes to farm versus commercial or whatever, there's going to be a divide, and it's always there unless there's some fundamental plan or expectation that we will more broadly prepare for those things, county sewer and all those things. Where are we with that? What happens over the next 10, 20 years?
Well, that's a really good question. It's one we face every day. So, as far as power, obviously it's Duke Energy. It's a private provider for the most part, except for the city of Landis buys its power from Duke. But as far as different parts of the county goes, overall we're in a really good position. I'll give you an example. We've had companies looking at, I mentioned that area on Long Prairie Road. It's down in Shoe. Had a lot of companies looking at that, a lot of high power users. So we actually had a meeting with Duke Energy a few months back and just said, if one of these companies were to come here, it needs a lot of power, where would that leave us going forward? And it's the county's divided like they have their own sections for these things. And what we were told was the immediate impact for one of those would be they would take that power, it would take them a few years to get there, but as far as what was left, we were told there'd be enough there. Like if we had another industry want to come here, not another large one, but one, your typical industry, which is usually like 6 to 8 megawatts of power, that we're in good shape there. Something bigger, they may have to wait. And that's what a lot of companies are hearing, no matter where they are, is if they have a use that needs, like for example, a new substation. This goes back to the COVID supply days, and this also Duke being overwhelmed everywhere in their service territory. But they're telling people now it's going to be a 36 to 48 month lead time for new substations, so that's delaying projects too. But as far as the capacity itself, in certain areas, it's really good. You get out more to the western part of the county or the southwestern part of the county, it's a different story. As you know, Salisbury is more or less the regional water provider for most of our municipalities, and system-wide they have a lot of capacity. It's getting it there is the challenge. So I'll bring up again that Long Prairie Road property. We've had some companies out there looking at large power, also large water, and some of them, not all of them, but some of them, it's such a big project, they're willing to fund running the water from the plant out there, like improving the size of the lines and things like that. And also, the city's had discussions with them about reinvesting in our system, because right now, I think Salisbury has about, I'm just guessing, near about 10 million gallons a day of excess water capacity. But, a company comes with 2 million gallons and it starts coming down pretty quickly. So there's got to be a reinvestment from the companies as well into that. Now, as far as long term, because I asked this question, let's say these companies come and they take this water capacity, can Salisbury withdraw more water off the Yak River? And the answer I got was yes, they can. We just need to make sure they're paying for getting it out there. So it's going to take, I think, for the most part, investment by the private sector to address some of those needs long term. And sewer-wise, we're in good shape. I know Cabarrus County's had some sewer issues, and they're working to address those right now. And that's actually helped us get more interest from some companies because, Cabarrus, they can't meet their needs for right now. But I think system-wide, with software, we're good there too. But again, it just takes one or two big users. You have to start planning. And that's what I think software does a good job proactively planning for those things. I don't know the exact stat, but I think if you have about 80% of your capacity spoken for, you have to start planning an upgrade to your plant. And if you're at 90%, you have to be under construction already. So I think we'll be able to meet those challenges. And if there are any issues, it's not going to be an issue that gets us at a competitive disadvantage in the other community, because we're hearing that everywhere as far as power needs.
Then you have the secondary things. We think of, okay, we're going to have this new industry, whatever. It's going to employ existing people. But then we build 200 houses here, 350 houses here. For what? For the new people who are going to come in to take those jobs. So that's contradictory. We want to employ our existing people, but we're going to grow additional people. And then that's a burden on the roads and the school system. You know, you throw 350 houses over here in one corner, that's going to be a lot of kids hitting the school system.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of impacts there. Of course, that'll create more jobs for teachers and for construction to build the schools and all that sort of thing. But how do we make sure that all these pieces come together?
So I think that really stresses the importance of having industry here, because the growth is going to come because of our location in Charlotte. But the thing too, I think that I can't speak for Mr. Rush or Ms. Sledge, but I think I would guess they would agree that a house doesn't offer much in the way of taxes to a town as far as the services the town has to provide. So you really rely on manufacturing and distribution, those large users, to kind of offset that cost, because I forgot what the dollar amount was the county had to pay for the new school. Was it $55 million? I mean, that's pretty excessive there. So you're really going to have to see more private sector investment in manufacturing to offset that, because again, the uses and people are going to come. But I agree, the services, whether it's schools, sheriffs, social services, whatever, there's going to be a cost there that we have to address. But housing, I mean, I think just statewide, nationwide, we've been behind on housing for many years now, and that has to be addressed through private sector. Otherwise, housing is going to continue to be unaffordable.
I know there's a lot of pain for people looking to rent a house, a small house, what we call a starter house.
Sure.
And they can't find anything for, $1,800 a month. And what they really can afford is maybe $1,100, $1,200 a month.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of pain. Low-end housing, we're not talking urban renewal housing, we're talking about nice little houses in Rockwell and places like that.
Sure.
And
Yeah, I
not
agree.
there.
I mean, my youngest son's 24. He's working now, but he's living with us, and I see the ads for. I'm sure it's something like most kids. He wants to get out on his own, and I see the ads for the rent for these places. I'm like, he's making pretty good money, but good Lord, how can you do that in a car? So I understand totally where you're coming from, and that's going to be something that the market addresses. I mean, we can certainly, I think that we can try to make the environment around us attractive enough for new housing, whether it's people or jobs, but the market's going to have to step up for that, because it's not many things we can directly impact besides, again, making a good environment for it.
Asking.
Yes, ma'am.
One more. Go ahead.
In regards to housing, I see a lot of information different states are doing tiny home communities. Have you guys ever talked to any developers that may be interested in developing a tiny home community that would feel the need, kind of like what you're talking about, even if it's temporary, or seniors, a lot of seniors like that?
Typically, man, we don't, because that's, we talked about trying to make a good environment for housing, because that's something employers ask for, but we really don't get directly involved in the actual mechanics of it. That's a local jurisdictional decision. I mean, we can't really we don't really try to advocate for something that may not be a good fit. It may be great for Salisbury, but not for Cleveland, sort of thing. But to your question, I think that affordable housing is a key problem everywhere. But again, it's got to be something that's addressed at the local level, because we're here to try to create opportunity. But I hate to advocate for something that you can find out that it's alienated one of our communities because it doesn't fit with what they're doing. But I think it needs to be creative to address it.
And a lot of it has to do with zoning.
Yes.